Good evening, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. This is Rich again, back for your third and final video blog of the night for Wednesday, November 25th, 2015, around 8:17 in the evening, Berwick, Massachusetts. The sun went down. Now it's cold, but it's not going to be as cold as the previous nights. Going to be about 37, 38 degrees, which is maybe above normal up in Berwick, Massachusetts. And the long-range outlook for snow in New England, southern New England, it's not looking good for until the end of the year, because we might be stuck in kind of an El Nino pattern and stuff. And I think maybe the snow might hold off, the heavy-duty snow and the cold, into like February and stuff. That would be good news. Some news to report. WCVB Channel 5 in Boston has added Julie McDonald from WWLP Channel 22 in Springfield, Massachusetts as a reporter, so congratulations to Julie McDonald. I definitely love the name Julie. You know why? Because of Julie Button. And also Terrell Owens, who's a Hall of Fame semi-finalist and a wide receiver. He wants to make a comeback at the age of 41. He wants to try out for the Patriots and play with Tom Brady. He's too old to be wide receiver, and if he does that, he's going to eliminate his Hall of Fame chances for 5 years. And that's about it on the news. My third and final video blog subject of the night is the personality profile. Tonight's personality profile is about one of the best talkers and heels in professional wrestling in the 1990s, Raven. Raven was known for being a multiple-time ECW world champion, plus he wrestled for WCW and WWE, but Raven wasn't as successful in WCW and WWE than he was in ECW. He had a long-running feud with Sandman and Tommy Dreamer. Raven was born Scott Levy in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. He grew up in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Scott Levy loved comic books as a youngster and stuff like that, and he is of Jewish descent, and he's a very smart man, Scott Levy. He had an IQ of 143, which is pretty amazing. He went to University of Delaware, graduated with a degree in criminal justice. He even served in the United States Marine Reserve Corps for a while and stuff. But Scott Levy got the wrestling bug, and he got trained by the Monster Wrestling Factory. His trainer was Larry Sharp, and he made his wrestling debut in 1988. His first match was against Jimmy Jack Funk. Scott Levy was billed as Scotty the Body. He first wrestled in CWA in Memphis. He was aligned himself with Missy Hyatt and Eddie Gilbert. He was Missy Hyatt's boy toy. He feuded with Jerry the King Lawler afterwards. He wrestled for a few territories, like in Florida and Vancouver. Then he settled in Pacific Northwest Wrestling, Portland Wrestling, and for the next 3 years, Scotty the Body was the top heel in Portland Wrestling. It was the dying days. He held all the major titles in Portland Wrestling, like the world title there, the TV title, and world tag team titles. He was managed by Taylor Made, who was like Terry Powers in LPWA and Tori in WWE, the Don Jezebel, as Jim Ross would say. And Scotty the Body also did some commentary as well, heel commentary. Scotty the Body had a tryout for the WWE in 1990, but he wrestled a TV match, and he lost to Coco Beware. And he did the JOB on Primetime Wrestling. WWE didn't like Scotty the Body, so he didn't get signed there. Then in 1991, Scotty went to Global Wrestling Federation in Dallas, Texas, and he was renamed Scott Anthony the Palm Beach Heartthrob. He was there for a few months. He didn't do anything of note there. Then he went to WCW to be Scotty Flamingo. He was a light heavyweight, and he had some decent success in WCW. He won the light heavyweight championship from Brian Pillman on Beach Blast, but he lost a couple weeks later to Brad Armstrong. He had a feud with Johnny B. Bad, which culminated in a boxing match at a Clash of Champions, which like Scotty Flamingo won. Eventually, Scotty left WCW because he had disagreements with Bill Watts on the direction of his characters going, and Scotty returns to Memphis to wrestle in the USWA briefly. Then he goes to the WWE, and he becomes a manager. He's renamed Johnny Polo, as like his gimmick was a spoiled rich kid, and he was dressed like a jockey and stuff, and it was pretty funny. He managed Adam Bomb and the Quebecers for the WWE to the WWE Tag Team titles multiple times. Also, he did some color commentating on Superstars and Raw, and he also was a producer for Monday Night Raw, but like he wasn't a great fit for Scott because he was talented. He had potential to become a big star in professional wrestling, but he was stuck with a little bit of crappy gimmicks in WWE. Then he left the WWE in late 1994. He was going to go to Smoky Mountain Wrestling, and he proposed to Jim Cornette the idea for the Raven character, but Jim Cornette did not like that character. He wanted him to wrestle as Scotty the Body. Scott then proposed the idea to Paul Heyman, the owner of ECW, about the Raven character, and Paul Heyman loved it. And the Raven made its debut in early 1995. He had like grungy hair, piercings, and he was a talker. He says, quote the Raven nevermore, and his theme song was, you gotta keep them separated. And Raven just made an impact in ECW. He did this, and also he had a flock, Raven's Nest, including Stevie Richards, the Blue Meanie, Nova, and so many others. And also Raven had valets, including Beulah McGillicuddy and Kimono Ranalea and Chastity and others. Raven got into a long-running feud with Tommy Dreamer. It centered around Beulah McGillicuddy, and for 2 years, Raven and Tommy Dreamer had a feud that Raven all won all of the matches except the final one that happened in 1997 at the ECW arena when Raven was leaving. Raven promos were very dark and dirty, and he was kind of a dastardly heel and stuff. He was a decent worker, and soon Raven became the top heel in ECW. He beat the Sandman for the ECW World title in January 1996 and held the belt on and off for about 14 months, feuding with such wrestlers as Shane Douglas, Tommy Dreamer, the Sandman, Sabu, and others. His best feud was the Sandman. In fact, Raven influenced the Sandman's wife, Lolly, and their 6-year-old son, Tyler, and they brainwashed them, and they joined the flock and stuff, and they had Raven, Lolly calling the Sandman a drunk and a smoker, and one of the incidents had Tyler caning the Sandman with his own Cinnabon cane and stuff. This was very emotional and stuff like that. Raven briefly dropped the ECW World title in October 1996 to Sandman, but Raven was not part of the match. He was out for a while because he had some personal problems, and Stevie Richards took the pinfall, and Sandman became the new ECW World Champion. But the next ECW card at the ECW Arena, one of the most controversial angles of all time, when when like Raven and his flock put Sandman on the cross and crucified him and stuff. That got a lot of Christians mad and stuff. And it was, it was a horrible angle, a, disturbing angle and stuff. And later on, like, Raven had to apologize to the ECW crowd. Eventually, Raven, like, regained the ECW world title against Sandman, and, like, in December of 1996. Then, in April of 1997, he lost the ECW world title to Terry Funk. But Raven gave his notice to ECW. He was going to WCW for the big bucks. Raven made his debut in WCW in June of 1997. For several weeks, he just sat in the crowd and stuff. And it was, he was with Stevie Richards and stuff. Eventually, Raven didn't wrestle that much for the first several months. Eventually, he would get into feuds with Diamond Dallas Page and Chris Benoit and others, and he developed a flock, including Stevie Richards, Billy Kidman, Sick Boy, Scotty Riggs, Reese, Van Hammer, and Perry Saturn, among others and stuff. And Raven was okay in WCW, but his Raven character was kind of like watered down and stuff. He briefly won the U.S. title against Diamond Dallas Page, but lost it the next night to Goldberg. And then eventually, the silliness of Raven, they broke up Raven Flock. He feuded with Canyon and Perry Saturn and then stuff. Eventually, like, Raven was so depressed that his mother had to come and save him and stuff, and then that introduced the Sandman, and he like formed an alliance with the Insane Clown Posse and Van Perlo. But like, Raven's direction in WCW was awful. He won the tag team titles briefly with Perry Saturn. I think they wore dresses briefly. But eventually Raven requested to get out of his WCW contract. He did, but he had a no-compete clause. He couldn't go to WWE right away. So in August of 1999, on the second edition of ECW on TNN, Raven makes a surprise appearance in a tag team match with Tommy Dreamer against the Dudley Boys, who were leaving for the WWE. Raven gives the Even Flow DDT to one of the Dudley Boys, Bubba Ray, and Raven and Tommy Dreamer are new ECW World Tag Team Champions. They were Tag Team Champions for a while, but eventually Raven and Tommy Dreamer would feud again. Raven wins all the time. Then Raven feuds with Just Incredible briefly over the ECW World title, but Just Incredible wins. Then Raven signs with the WWE in September of 2000. He's aligned with Taz, feuds with Al Snow, Jerry the King Lawler, and a few others. He gets placed in the hardcore division, which was okay and stuff, but the WWE Raven character was not that good. It was just basically another one of run-of-the-mill things for WWE. Raven's placed in the alliance and stuff, which it wasn't good. Then 2002, Raven was basically not on television a lot. He was the king of Sunday Night Heat because he basically wrestled there, and his character didn't have direction. He briefly was a commentator and stuff. He cut his long hair short, and he dyed it blonde. Then he left the WWE in January of 2003 to go to TNA and stuff. He has decent success in TNA. He wins the TNA World title, the NWA World title for a while. He was in TNA for a few years, but eventually he leaves there and he starts wrestling independents and stuff, and he still does it today from time to time. Raven is suffering from type 2 diabetes, but he has it under control and stuff, and he's given a lot of shoot interviews and stuff, and also he's blasted the WWE and he even filed a lawsuit against them for like unsafe working conditions, but that case was dropped because of the statute of limitations. Him and the late Chris Canyon were part of that lawsuit, but that was dropped and stuff like that. The Raven character, its name is owned by Scott Levy, which probably was a great thing. He trademarked it when he was in ECW, because if he went to WCW or WWE, they would have probably trademarked that name and stuff. And Raven's Mike work in the mid-90s was awesome and stuff, and that feud with the Sandman was an emotionally drained feud, and also probably one of the greatest feuds in ECW history. I might have to cover that on a future video blog and stuff. And Raven probably should have been a top star in WWE or WCW, but maybe politics and stuff, or maybe WCW or WWE didn't know what kind of character Raven would fit in as a mid-carder. And that's about it on him. I'll be back tomorrow, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, but only 2 video vlogs. One will, because it's a holiday, one will be about the top 10 athletes ever to wear number 21, and my review of Survivor Series 1995. Keep calm, everybody. I'm a Julie Budding guy. Molly Rosenblatt of WCCO TV4. Roxanne has nice legs. Elizabeth Hutt is so stunning. And happy Thanksgiving, everybody. See you tomorrow.